I don't post more, I post better. I always ask myself, would I want this? I think follower count and likes and comments are vanity metrics. We're all kind of building on borrowed land. They could go away tomorrow, get their emails, you create this community that you own.
Because that is like one of my biggest pet peeves is the lack of intentionality around how you then steward the audience that you've worked so hard to get.
To be successful on social media, you need to either entertain or be extremely useful.
Alex, thank you so much for joining me today. I'm super excited. You are somebody I have been wanting to talk to for years, quite frankly, since you first launched DevourDC. But before we start talking about you, we are at Tapori right now on H Street in DC. This is one of your favorite spots.
It is.
Out of all of the places that you could be at today, why did you pick this spot? What do you love about it?
Tapori is a relatively new spot in DC. I think it opened a year or two ago. Chef Suresh is fantastic, and he is also the owner of Daru, which is up the street on H Street.
Oh.
That opened a few years ago to fanfare, and so he opened this location. It's Indian and street food inspired food. It's just really, really good, and the vibe here is so fun too.
Let's dive into a few questions.
Okay.
To start, one that I have for you, a little bit of a hot take, but I personally, when I see that there is a creator or someone who has been paid to do a review or asked to do a review on a spot, I'm a little bit leery as to whether or not you're telling the truth about how you really feel about it, or if you're kind of being swayed by the fact that the owner or the establishment is kind of inviting you to come in, right? Especially when it's kind of like opening day. How do you balance that when it comes to building trust with your online community? And is that something that you kind of think about in the back of your mind when you're doing some of these reviews?
Yeah, and it's a good instinct. I mean, you should be apprehensive about the people that you follow and thinking about if what they're telling you is authentic or not, right? And so for me personally, I'm never paid to come review a restaurant or do a video for a restaurant.
Okay.
I'm invited in for a comped meal for myself or for me and a plus one. So at first when I started this, I would just say yes to everything because that was the dream job.
Right.
I started with doing this for fun, and then you're getting free food offers all the time, and you can't say no to it, right? But when it got to a point where I was like, oh, this is a real brand.
Yeah.
And this is a brand that I really want to feel authentic, and I want to build rapport and trust with this community in DC and beyond. You do have to take that into consideration. And so what I do now is I sort of put a clause every time I'm invited to a restaurant. And I say, I'll come, I'll eat for free, whatever. And technically I'm losing money each time I go to a restaurant because I always tip for whatever the original cost of the meal would be, because I think that's super important. But I put the clause in, if it does not meet my standards, or if it doesn't, if I was a paying customer, would I really think that this was worth the money? And if I don't think that's the case, then I won't post about it. And so that's my approach to these collaborations, just to keep the authenticity there and the trust built.
I really love your brand because you are so big about local. And I think everything you just said talks about the intentionality of not just, wanting to highlight any and everybody, but really wanting to stimulate the economy and help the local economy. Because restaurants, that's a hard industry to be successful in, to do well in. And so I love that you've recognized that and have really done some things to make sure that you're being conscientious of that, I guess, and even in your...
Yeah, listen, I don't come from the restaurant industry. And to your point about being excited about stimulating the local economy, I'm originally from Ohio, in the middle of nowhere. There was 2 restaurants. So I'm talking 1,500 people, one stoplight town. And so...
That's small.
Small. And so to be in a thriving city, especially a culinary city that's so diverse and dynamic like DC, I can't not be excited about the food scene. and I want to like do everything that I can to support the local businesses and highlight the talent that's here, because once you're in it, like all these other doors open, and you meet all these incredible people, and it makes me so excited to want to share their stories
100%.
with my audience too.
You mentioned you're from Ohio. What brought you to DC, especially if you're from a very small town in Ohio where there's like 2 restaurants and a stoplight?
I wanted to get out. You know, I knew that like at age 10, I was like, well, this is not for me. I want to be somewhere bigger. So I went to the Ohio State University in Columbus, and they have a good relationship with a nonprofit here in DC called the Partnership for Public Service. It was a great place to learn about office culture, the corporate life, nonprofit, like NGO, mission-based things, which was really instilled at me at a super early age. I still have a full-time job. I landed in the built environment industry, as we call it, so architecture, design, urban planning. I worked full-time at an architecture firm, and I started DevourDC on the side, I guess 4 or 5 years ago now, and so I kind of do both in tandem. And so I'm very busy.
Your plate is full.
My plate is very full.
You mentioned you started DevourDC 4 or 5 years ago. That's around COVID. So talk to me about that. How did you get to the point where you made that first post?
So yeah, the year was 2020. It's fall of 2020, so everybody was just still grappling with everything that was going on. It was such a surreal moment in time. And I was between jobs. So I was at this very cushy job at a Fortune 500 commercial real estate firm, and I was like, oh, I made it. This is great. And I was there for 6 months, and then COVID hit, and I got fired along with so many other people. And I didn't know, I'd never been fired before, you know?
Yeah.
I didn't know how to take it. And so while I was still looking for another job, TikTok was really popping off, right, in 2020. It was like kind of the height of everybody was creating on TikTok, and it was really easy to go viral. And so I said, you know, I'm already consuming on TikTok. I might as well take the leap into creating. So how I would get out of the house during COVID, I would go on runs. I would always end up at a coffee shop or a local cafe, because that's how I love to explore the city. Is through food and through exploring different places. And I said, I love this place. I love making videos on my phone. So I said, I'll post a video to, you know, exactly 0 people on TikTok. I started on TikTok, and it was fun. I was doing it for me. And so I kept doing it almost every day. And
yeah, every day is a lot.
Every day is a lot.
Even when it's something that you love, that's a commitment.
I loved it. And I think at the time it was really easy to reach a large audience on TikTok, because it was unlike any other platform that existed. And so I was seeing numbers, people were actually interacting with it. And I was not a social media person before, so that was like really exhilarating. But in the first 2 months, I gained like 40,000 followers. And at that point I was like, oh, I think this is something, and maybe I should take this seriously. But it really wasn't until like a year or a year and a half later that I was like created an LLC, picked a name, DevourDC, moved it to Instagram, and started from 0 on Instagram again, because honestly I got burnt out on TikTok. So I like built the whole audience there, and then I was like, oh, just kidding, I'm actually going to be over here now. And they all followed, and now here we are.
Over with you. A couple of threads we could pull on there. You've said so many great things. The first thing is you had 40,000 followers in 2 months. Let's let that soak in, because that's very difficult to do. TikTok, I feel like the algorithm back then definitely is one where you could go literally from like 0 to 100 very quickly.
Yes.
And that really helped a lot of creators pop off. Talk to me then about how it took you about a year or so later where you were like, you know what, I think I do want this to now be something more than just a hobby, right? Something more than just the end of my run and I go to a coffee shop. Where did that switch happen for you where you were like, okay, this is a good moment for me?
I think it was like maybe late 2021. I was fully, you know, still doing it on the side, not making any money, not really taking it super seriously. And I think it was a restaurant who reached out via email, my first inbound lead, and they said, hey, how much do you charge for a video on your page?
And you were probably like, charge.
You want to pay me to make a video that I do for free? And I was like, I don't know, $100. And then of course they're like, oh, sold.
Done. When can you come?
Right. And that's when it really clicked for me. And they actually had a follow-up call with me, and they're like, just so you know, you're underselling yourself. And you really
Which is
have
really
something
kind of
here.
them.
It was very, very
It's
kind
not
of them.
something everybody will do.
No. And it was at that moment, because I didn't really see myself as an entrepreneur before. And I think there is this really clear mental switch you have to go from not being an entrepreneur to being an entrepreneur. And it even feels weird to say I'm an entrepreneur as like an influencer or content creator, but I guess I am.
You are.
And so it was getting over that imposter syndrome of like, oh, this is a viable business that I can go off of.
Yeah.
And at that moment I was like, okay, let me
Take it
name
seriously.
this, let me get an LLC, let me learn the basics of running like and owning a one-person business. And so yeah, shout out to that person.
Shout out to that person. I love it. So you mentioned that you, a year later, ended up opening the LLC. You named it DevourDC. Let's pause there for a second. Where did DevourDC come from? Because that's honestly brilliant.
I love the name.
And I'm like, that's so
I
genius.
was shocked that it was available with no dashes, periods, underscores on Instagram when I was searching for it. Because I was like, why has nobody else taken this name?
Yeah.
So I think
names are hard now.
Yeah, I think I secured it in like December 2021. So that wasn't even that long ago. But now I feel like I that was the best thing I did. I love that name.
You mentioned earlier that it kind of feels funny to call yourself an entrepreneur because technically you're a content creator and an influencer. But the reality is you really have formed a business around this. It's not just you posting. How did you make that switch between, you know what, I am just going to kind of stay in the content creation lane versus I want to position myself intentionally to be a partner to these restaurants?
Yeah. And honestly, it is something that I feel like I am still building, the full suite of services that I want to offer. Because visiting a restaurant and sort of using my page as a billboard of sorts is like, I have that on lock. It's easy. I can do that.
Yeah.
It's the consulting part that is, it's a different beast for sure. But I feel like I've been doing this for almost 5 years at this point. And I just feel like I have a really good pulse on like the restaurant industry
What they need.
and the algorithm of social media, which is a hard thing to like have your pulse on. Not to say I understand it or I can hack it, but I do feel like I'm keeping up with the trends. And so, and of course I have a 10-year career in marketing communications. So it dovetails into, I have this career and this sort of unique niche, and why would I not offer that to other people? Especially the restaurant industry is very hard, especially now. Just brick and mortar in general is a hard thing to do.
Absolutely.
And so if I can provide my digital prowess, like marketing mind, to help people survive and thrive, like I of course want to help.
And I really asked you that too because I think one of the questions I'm seeing come up often that I'm hearing from business owners is the influencer economy like still thriving, or are we getting close to like some sort of drop off or like it imploding? Talk to me about the industry a little bit in terms of kind of how you feel things are, because I think it's really smart that you've created this avenue to where if content creation in its current form no longer really exists in this way, you still got something you can fall back on that
Correct.
feels like, you know, a viable business and a smart thing to do for a lot of restaurants.
Right, and that's my thinking too, because when I started, I feel like I was one of the only people making foodie content that was video first. And it quickly got very saturated, the market, and that's the same in any market, lifestyle, like fashion, humor, whatever it is. So you do have to start thinking of ways to export your audience to like an owned channel. That's at least my thinking now, and my goal in this year is we're all kind of building on borrowed land, which is Instagram and all these. They could go away tomorrow. Like this time last year, TikTok was like,
TikTok
is
scandal.
it gonna stay? Is it gonna
be
go?
Is it not? And people were freaking out.
Of course, because they built their entire business and careers on TikTok.
Yeah.
And it was gonna be gone like that, potentially. So that was a bit of a wake-up call too. And so I started thinking, that's at that moment you do need to have ongoing clients on retainer, and you need to own your audience. How can I start to own my audience? And so this year I'm actually like launching a Substack. It's live now, but that is a way to get people to like subscribe for free. You get their emails, you create this community that you own, and you can talk to them one-on-one and as a group. And I also want to start doing more like events.
Yeah.
I want to get people.
I have noticed you started doing that.
There's screens and
Intimate dinners.
Right.
And you also did a call out recently where on your Instagram stories you were like, anybody want to meet me at this location, and we just kind of hang out for a couple hours and chat.
And I want to do more of that because I just feel like people are craving community, and we all are so, at least I'm very aware of how much time I'm spending on my phone.
Yeah.
And I hate it. And I want to meet new people out in the wild.
It sounds like you're really pulling your community offline and doing engagement in person. It's really about community building for you. Is that the recommendation that you would give other creators and business owners who are looking to have that safety net? If I can't rely on these platforms, not even because they may necessarily have some sort of like issue like TikTok did, right? Where they're being owned by somebody else. But like, let's say your account gets shut down or deactivated, because those things happen too.
Totally.
What does that pivot look like? Oh wait, we've got some food.
Hi, this is the vada pav. This is the Mumbai style, the India street food, very famous curried potato sandwich. It's made with mustard seeds and turmeric powder, ginger, green chili, and some for seasoning, some sesame seeds, Kashmiri red chili, and for the moisture we use like mint sauce and pickle beetroot.
Oh,
Awesome.
this looks incredible. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
It's very popular food in the Indian state in Mumbai, basically Mumbai state. Thank you and enjoy.
Appreciate
Thank you
it.
so
Thank
much.
you. These are so good.
I'm excited because
Yeah.
I've never been here before, and I'm a foodie like you, and so
Yeah,
I'm
you
like,
gotta try everything here.
oh yeah, absolutely. And I'm somebody that like, I hate when I watch a show and they're like fake eating. So like, I plan
Oh, we're
to,
gonna
like,
go
eat.
into it.
I'm
Yeah.
like, we're gonna eat. So fair warned. Don't judge us if you see us stuffing our faces. But yeah, hold on. Let's take a bite, and then you can totally you go first.
Yes.
'Cause you're-
Okay. It is.
the
It's a bite.
presentation
I mean,
is gorgeous here.
yeah. No, it's really nice.
Got that pepper on top too.
Cheers.
Cheers. Ding. Okay, wait. How do I even?
Go for it. It's unique, right?
I wasn't sure what to expect
Yeah.
when it first came out. I love the way. What is this in the middle? He mentioned it, and it totally. I just got
like a
so enriched
potato
with it.
thing.
I love to just collapse into the sandwich because I'm like, how am I gonna eat this?
It's very
This
soft.
is good. The bread is nice
Yeah,
and
but first time I
pillowy.
came here and I had this, I was like, I've never had anything like this before.
No.
And that's what I love about this too, is that
Oh my
you get to
goodness.
go to all these places and try cuisine from all these, I mean, like everywhere around the world. DC is so diverse.
It's got a
just
kick
fun.
that's creeping up.
It is a little
This is
spicy.
Turned into a Hot Ones interview.
I love a little spice though.
It is good though. Opens you up in the right way. It's a flavor bomb in my mouth. And I say one more bite and then I'm gonna ask you a question. Okay, let me get back in the hosting mode. So yes, so tell me your recommendation on what should I, as a creator, a small business owner, be doing to make sure that I'm like basically protecting my brand.
Yeah. So I think First, you do need to stay consistent on whatever platform you're on, like the social media platform, because you have to have that constant drumbeat to keep connected with people. And that's kind of that's your top of the funnel, right? That's where you kind of gather your people. And so then you do need to start thinking about the middle and the bottom of the funnel to create, and that's where the community happens, right?
Yeah.
So if I owned a brick and mortar business, I would absolutely be
Programming. Yeah.
Tap into whatever's hot right now and capture the attention of people, and then get their emails and put them in a special bucket just for like, hey, special promotions for our regulars.
I love that you
get
said
an
that.
extended hour
Because that is
happy hour.
like one of my biggest pet peeves is the lack of intentionality around how you then steward the audience that you've worked so hard to get. Again, we were talking about off camera. I think we've gotten to a point where we don't really value our audience's attention the same way that we used to. There's an assumption that like, I've put this content out there and I'm expecting you to consume it.
Yeah.
And then we get disappointed when it's not their cup of tea. When in fact, you know, as entrepreneurs and business owners, we should be thinking about in the very beginning, what does this person care about? How do I, these are pretty.
This one's
Very
our
pretty.
pineapple daiquiri, and this is our house-made Tapori cocktail.
Thank
Awesome.
you.
All listening.
Appreciate it.
Cheers. Listen, if stuff just
Everything
keeps
here is
dropping on the
so
table, I'm
gorgeous.
like, we're getting spoiled here. That is delicious.
That's so good.
Ooh, that is very good. But yeah, thinking about like, what does this audience actually want? What do they care about? And making sure that we're speaking to that.
Yeah.
I feel like right now we're all being lumped into the same listservs. Like, why am I getting the same thing that somebody else is getting and I've never bought this thing? That's not what I'm interested in.
Yep.
I think we really need to go back to being really personal about the touch points that we have. And I think that's going to be the answer to the way that like brands grow authentically is figuring out like which of my audiences love this about my business and how do I market that just to them.
Yep.
And it takes a lot more effort and energy. But in my mind, as a marketer myself and someone who really loves brand strategy, that's really where you should pull someone like us in
Yeah.
to help you do that work.
Yes.
I think the posting and the social media and all that stuff is like low-hanging fruit. To a degree, I think a lot of business owners can start there and do that themselves. But instead of paying someone to just do that, it's like, get someone who can help you work out strategy, someone who can help you think through the different segmentations in your audience, how you speak to those people, how
Yeah.
often you should be speaking to
Exactly.
those people. So I definitely agree with you. I think going back to blogging and figuring out like that one-on-one communication too, social media, as I like to describe it, is like the billboard for your business. And so it's where you get to kind of like get those people who are on the fence about you to cross over to understanding more about your brand and what you stand for and what they can expect.
Yeah.
And then they typically from there will kind of convert to wanting to get to know you better, more intimately. They'll go to your restaurant, they'll sign up for your email. I'm spot on with that. I definitely think we're going back to like early 2000s vibes for sure.
I hope so. And you're right. I think another thing that businesses don't do enough of is like is ask your audience. I regularly am like, I feel out of touch. Like, what do you guys want to see? Like every quarter, I feel like I do that. I'm like, is this even resonating with you anymore? What type of content do you want to see more of? My whole thing, whenever, there's more food.
Hi.
More food.
We have a Nepalese style wagyu dumpling made with house-made buckwheat wrap and served with tomato and beef broth. Actually, in Nepal, we use cold sauce for the summer and hot broth for the winter. So we have beef and tomato broth with the Szechuan pepper.
Beautiful.
Thank you. Enjoy.
Thank you.
Wow.
Everything here is gorgeous.
So good. Yes, get in there. Let the camera eat.
All the
I think I'm gonna go for a spoon so
Yeah, I
I can
would
get some of
spoon
that
it
live
out.
broth in there. Oh, they're sliding. Hold on. There we go.
just gonna. Isn't this fun?
You know, can we really call this work? Can we really call this work?
I know.
Oh my gosh, how do you
I'm
keep
spoiled.
your
and
waistline together with all this
I'm
food?
in the gym. 5 days a week. When people ask like, what would you like? How would you describe the success? Like, how do you feel? How did you make it successful?
Yeah.
Or whatever that means. And my whole thing, and this I think this has stayed consistent from day one, is that I am just trying to be as useful as I possibly can.
Usefulness. Be valuable.
I think to be successful on social media, you need to either entertain, be really good at entertaining, or be extremely useful. And you can do both. That's probably like a great sweet spot. But when you're entertaining, think of like the comedians who do really well. They make you laugh, they make you smile. But then, those are like the likes and the comments, and it's funny or whatever it is. But then the useful is like the shares and the saves, think like recipes.
That part. I have always said that.
restaurants. And that to me, because I think what I'm doing is all just useful stuff. And so that's the metric on social media that I care about the most is saves and shares. I think follower count and like likes and comments are vanity metrics for me personally. So my pocket is like, I keep an eye on the saves, the shares, because I think that's what makes something successful is like, can I actually use this?
They want to come back
do
to
I
it.
want this? Yeah.
And they want to share it with somebody else in there. Because I also think that that's really the main way that your page grows. So even with like branding, with the show, the first couple of episodes I rolled out, I paid a whole lot of attention to like, how many times is this being sent to somebody else, right? And also comments for me. When people feel the need to want to say something about what you've created, I think that's also a good litmus test that they're like heavily engaging with it. Here's the thing though. Do you feel like sponsors and brand deals come more from the following, or do they also understand that like this person may not have almost 300,000 followers, but they have a community that's very engaged and their content does really well because of the community around it and how often it is sent to someone else or saved. Like, are they also understanding that? Is that your pulse, or do you feel like there's a little bit of like, to a degree, you've got to have both to feel valuable externally to be able to make money?
Yeah, I think that's a good question. I think it is a little bit of both. Especially with bigger brands, they're probably just hitting people with a lot of followers to get eyes. But I think if you're good at marketing, you also need to look at the niche people who maybe don't have hundreds of thousands of followers,
So go deep in a very
but have
specific.
great engagement and have a community that trusts them, and they'll do whatever they say.
That's a good point.
So I think you need to have both. And if I were a small business, I would focus on the latter. I would focus on micro creators who have created a really like cult-like following with their brand, their own brand and their followers. Because I think that's more impactful than just like spraying and praying, right?
What do you feel like are like some of the tenets of having a good brand, for example? I think that can get a little bit conflated in terms of like, what does it mean to have a brand? And is branding not me having a logo and pretty colors with great fonts?
Right.
Like, help me break it down for folks who may not understand
Right.
what it really means to have a brand and the way that you can leverage that.
Yeah.
When it comes to bringing in more customers or, again, getting those like sponsorships
Yeah.
and brand deals.
I think when I think of brand and branding, I think it is the why of your business. So it's marketing is kind of like, this is how we do this, but the brand is like, this is why. Like, we do it for, you have to understand who your audience is, who you're doing it for. It's your mission statement, right? And I think when it comes down to that, everything, when you strip it down, it just is your why behind everything that you're doing. So it should be replicated in, the basics that you have to do, like your logo and your colors and your website. But all of that should point back to like this singular point of, for me personally, I just want to be useful. Like, that's DevourDC. Like, I want to be a go-to for people who are natives to DC and also people who are new, to be like, oh, if you want to feel more in touch with like what's kind of going on, at least in the food scene and the drink scene, like things to do scene, follow DevourDC, follow this person, because they really seem to, everything that they put out feels useful to me.
Also, always like to say, like, think about the feeling that you want your customers, your audience to have.
Yeah.
If it doesn't feel aligned, then you probably shouldn't do it, right? And that can also go down to like, we're in Tapori. It feels like Tapori. If you're talking about it being Indian cuisine, when I walk in here, I get that vibe. Now, if there was rock music playing, I would be like a little bit confused, right? Like, okay, maybe the owner likes rock or whatever, but I think that those are the type of elements that business owners can also just really think about. And you have such a great opportunity to really curate that feeling when you have a brick and mortar space, because you can really invite people in and make sure that like from the time they hit the door to the time that they leave, you can curate an experience that really hits home on the feeling you want them to have. So like here, from the food to the drinks to
music,
all have to come together. And that also translates online too. I mean, one of the things I really love about your page in particular, other than the fact that it's just gorgeous, I now in my feed can scroll past one of your videos and I know it's yours before I even see your handle. Like you've got a style, a vibe. And I think being able to achieve that again, being that there are so many creators who are also doing food content, is really important. And I do think that there are creators that have been successful in having pages that are not necessarily pretty, right? It's just about getting the content out there and not necessarily like the glamour of the page or the aesthetic. I think you do a really great job of like hitting on both. There's a level of, I think, that professionalism that I think also appeals to other businesses, restaurants, sponsors. I think it helps because they're like, oh, he takes this very seriously and it's very clear. There's a lot of time and energy being put into this. And if there's that strong brand recognition, then to your point, when people are trying to figure out like who's going to really resonate with this audience, they can immediately go to you because they're like, oh, we can count on DevourDC to help us with, you know, pushing this out or making sure that we're highlighting these things, because your brand is already so strong in the way that it shows up in the world. How did you move from getting brands to do one-off posts with you or having restaurants that just want to bring you in one time to then being able to like form partnerships where you're doing multiple pieces of content for them or even doing a little bit more, hosting the events and things of that nature? How did you grow in that direction?
I think it's all about trust. Like your first interaction with somebody is very important, obviously first impressions. And if the video does well, they want you back. But it's also like, it's how you take care for their brand and what they've created. Like, can they see that you care about it too? And that's also, I think, the future of influencing and content creation is less one-off things, one-off collaborations, and more like year-long partnerships or like months-long partnerships. I think that is way more effective from a marketing standpoint. If I'm the business, I want to partner with like 2 content creators in DC that I really love their work. I feel really passionate that they believe in what I'm doing, and I only want to use them over and over again to like hit their audiences, and because that's how, you know, it starts to be cemented in people's minds too, is that seeing the same content more than once. It is hard to do sometimes because the brand that I feel like I've sort of carved out in the last year is like, I say what's new and next in DC. So I always like to cover anything that's opening, anything that's next, right? Like the future of DC. But I also still want to support the places that have been here for a long time. So it's a hard balance to strike, but I try.
And you started to do the like 24, 48 hours in
that's
series
fun.
too, which I really liked. So you went to Baltimore and then like, you know, you kind of went to surrounding areas. And I thought that was a brilliant way for you to be able to expand your brand a bit without watering down your brand or like all of a sudden you're posting stuff from different cities, and it's like, wait, I thought it was DevourDC, not like
Yeah.
Devour Philly or
Right.
like, you know. And so
Right.
I think that your way of also figuring out how to not back yourself into a corner with your content too, because a lot of content creators flame out. I mean, it's, you talked about like kind of getting burnt out on TikTok from having to post all the time and the churn of that, but also you can burn out from also just posting the same content for years and that being
For
all that
sure.
you're doing, and
For
then
sure.
you don't feel fulfilled in it anymore because you've grown as a person.
Totally.
How have you continued to strike that balance? I think the 24 to 48 hours in is a great example of part of that, but like how else are you thinking through longevity so that this brand that you created is not something that you end up loathing later?
Correct. Great question. Yeah, so the 48 hours, it was my attempt at sort of like my foray into the travel space, because I love to travel, and I would love to do way more of those.
Yeah.
Another thing that I've started doing is like just guides in general.
Yeah.
So, and that's really fulfilling to me because it's not focused on one specific place. It's like, let's take a theme. I just did one of like live music in DC, like bars and restaurants where you can go to live music or that have live music. And that was fun for me because I don't know all the answers. So I get to also poll my audience and say, hey, I want your feedback on this. Like, tell me where you guys like to go for live music. And then I get to do the research, and then that feeds into the Substack because that's a more like long form article that I can continue to add places. And
I'm sensing a theme of this two-way conversation being a large part of what's helped your brand be successful.
Oh yeah,
being
you
able
have to listen
ask
to your
them
audience.
and then being able to also talk to you, and you don't feel like this far-off creator, but somebody that actually cares about what they experience.
Yeah, I try to, I mean, I know I don't put my face in my content that often, but I do want people to know that there's a person behind it. And I think sometimes people feel like it's a team. They're like, when I get emails like, hey, do you guys do this? I'm like, no, it's just
so
me.
Well done. It's
just
so
me.
Well done. You went from 40,000 followers in the beginning, those first 2 months on TikTok. Now you have almost 300,000 on Instagram. What have you learned about your brand, good and bad, lessons learned, in what it takes to steward a community of 40,000 versus what it's like now that you have almost 300,000? Is there anything that's like starkly different? Do you feel like it's the same? Like, are you using the same strategies you did when you first started that's also helping you grow?
In general, I think I am using the same strategy. And that strategy is sort of twofold, right? So, not to give away all the secrets, but one, the biggest one, and I said this before, is just being useful. I think if you start doing content, you can feel yourself being not useful. Because I always ask myself, would I want this? The thing
Not
that I'm
getting
posting,
caught
would
up in
I
just
want
posting
this?
something so that you have a presence,
Correct.
but thinking about if it
And I feel like a lot of
purpose.
creators can get like, oh, I have to post because I'm posting because I have to post. I
The
have to like
itch.
feed the algorithm, and I don't feel that. I'm like, I'll take 2 weeks off because I don't feel inspired to do anything, or I just don't want to. And as long as what I put out, I always say, like, even in my media kit, like, I don't post more, I post better.
Ooh.
Because I want everything I put out to be quality. It's quality over quantity for me, for sure. And so that is a steady thing that I feel like I have not wavered from, is just everything that I do feels useful, at least to me. And if I feel like it's useful, I'm sure everybody else will. Not everybody else, but other people will. And the other part of that is consistency. I mean, I know I just said I take 2 weeks off sometimes, but I think when you're starting, at least, you do have to hold yourself accountable to like posting every other day. I think what helped me on both Instagram and TikTok was posting every day for like 2 months, and that is a lot. It's like a lot of work. But I think
Figure out what works though in doing that,
I
and what
think
doesn't work.
it worked 4 years ago. So does it work today? I don't know. I tend to believe it does, just because sometimes you just have to be hard to ignore.
Yeah. Ooh, be hard to ignore.
You have to put yourself out there. And I think that's key. And then once you're you have your foot in the door, right? You start existing in the subconscious of people
Yeah.
where they are always, which is on their phone, unfortunately. And that's your foot. And then you have to look at your data, what is performing well, what is not performing well, double down on the stuff that's performing well,
Yeah.
forget the rest.
Forget the rest. How do you feel about experimenting now? You have a larger audience, so you feel yourself less, because you talked about imposter syndrome too. And so are there these moments where it's like, I want to try something new, but I don't know if that's going to like have people, 100,000 people unfollow me overnight or?
And it's not even about the follower count for me. I kind of don't even care about that. It's like the time I've been doing this. I feel like a sense of authority in the space, I guess, where I'm like, why shouldn't I try something new?
Yeah.
And that's how you survive anyway, like is just
Innovating.
constantly trying something new. So as long, again, I always go back to like being useful. As long as I feel like it's something that
And that's okay.
is a cool idea, that would be something I want to bookmark or send to a friend, I'm definitely going to do it. And so I actually feel like the more time that has gone by, the more I'm just like, screw it, I'm just going to try this. I don't,
Yeah.
like, I feel confident enough now that I can do that.
Pull back the curtain for me a little bit around like compensation and usage rights. So we're in the age of AI, and it's very easy for things to be, especially on these platforms that we don't own,
Yeah.
for our content to then be owned by them or to be used in ways that we may not necessarily say yes to or agree with. How are you protecting the content that you're creating? And second part to that question, how are you also driving home the value of what you're doing with brands in a way that translates to the way that they are compensating you, or at least agreeing to certain terms that you
Right.
have in terms of how you want to work with them?
Yeah. And that whole world of contracts and usage rights and whitelisting and paid versus organic, you quickly become like an expert in it, right? And it's, I mean, I charge for like the video, and this is all strictly talking about big brands, right? That's the only way I make money off of DevourDC for the moment, is like partnerships with big brands who I know have the marketing budget to do this. And so I, like, here's the price for X deliverable. And then usually they want to know what like paid usage rights for like a month or two. So I usually do like, I think like 25% of the base rate per month. And it just kind of compounds that way. I know other people do it different ways. It's hard to find, I don't know if there is a guideline, like a set guideline, because it's kind of the wild, wild west out there.
It is Dutch Nepali style dog breast, barbecue dog breast, seasoned with the mustard oil and Nepalese
nice.
herbs and spices, and accompanied with the edamame and pickled radish.
Wow.
Wow. That is gorgeous.
Gorgeous.
Thank you so much.
I'm a sucker for smoke.
I know. Give me a little smoke and I'm immediately like, oh.
Whipping my phone out.
Oh. I'm actually gonna pass some of these on to the crew too, so they can
Please.
taste it. Because this is so good. Oh my goodness.
It's excellent. It's moist, it's tender.
Look at that. Let the camera eat. Sheesh.
Yep. Yeah, I love it here. You gotta come back.
Oh my gosh, you have no idea to really be able to get into things, for sure. But yes, the business part of it all is where this can get a little bit hairy, which is why I asked you. And I think the other part about this too is because this content is so, it's a lot like art, right?
Yeah.
It kind of is just up to you in determining like what you feel like your value is and what you want to put out into the world as. And I think sometimes as creators, we have a hard time trying to figure out like, okay, how do I, price this? How do I protect this? And I think you just kind of like sharing some of the things that you've done is really helpful because it gives people a starting point. You know what I mean? Who may not have any idea at all about the way that they should approach this. To your point, because the influencer world is so much of the wild, wild west, I think we're all just winging it and trying to figure out like, okay, how do we do this? But having someone like you who's more established, who can kind of like guide people, I think is always just super helpful.
Yeah, I mean, anybody who's, whether they're starting out or they've been doing it for a while, I'm all for like salary transparency. I love it. So if anybody asks, I'll tell them what I charge. I'll just give them my media kit, to be honest, because
I love that.
yeah, why not? Like, might as well, let's all learn from each other. Why are we gatekeeping this information? We're like
when
screwing
someone else
ourselves.
also is charging what you're charging. It's harder for another brand or business to go to somebody else and be like, well, they're going to give me $100. Like when you first started, they're going to do $100. So why would I go to this person that's like $1,000, right?
Right. It's not like I'm giving them my process and like all my secrets, because I do feel like there is some IP that you have to protect, right? But in terms of this industry, which is so, I don't know, I feel like some people are getting screwed and other people are like skating by, and we need to come in the middle and understand like both sides and share more.
Yeah, I feel that. Last question for you. For small businesses that are trying to figure out how to work with creators like you, what are some recommendations around the way that they strike that conversation, but also any hot tips you give in your experience as a marketer and doing DevourDC around, like, how do I go from 0 followers to 300,000, right? Tell me, can you really hack the algorithm? Is there a way for me to go viral overnight?
I don't think I can say that there is, but there are, tips that I could give, right? So to increase your chances, I suppose. So one, of course, and you hear it all the time, is like the hook. And people will say it's like the first 5 seconds of the video.
Okay.
I think it's the first 2 seconds
Hook 'em.
with attention spans nowadays. So going back, like me and you were talking before about journalism and PR, I went to school for like strategic communications and I minored in professional writing. I took journalism courses.
Yep, same.
And I actually think that I've used that brain more when I create a video.
Oh, I agree.
Because when you're in PR, when you're writing a press release or whatever, get
there fast.
Don't bury the lead.
Don't.
What is the most interesting part of whatever you're talking about?
Then you back it up.
Then you back it up. A video is the same exact way. So, for instance, I just went to this new steakhouse in DC called Bully Spanish Steakhouse, I think. Excellent. Really, really good.
Okay. I'll add it
And
to my list.
the food was great. The vibe was wonderful. But they brought out this, and this wasn't even part of like what they were going to do. They brought out this big like pitcher, like this tap, like a tower of sangria.
Oh, I saw that. I literally told my wife, I was like, we're going.
Gorgeous. I had never seen a presentation like that for a sangria before. And that, going into that, I was like, oh, I'm just gonna the lead of the story is gonna be, there's a new steakhouse in DC. And as soon as that came out, because I feel like I know my audience, I'm like, oh, no. The hook is this insane sangria tower. And then...
You hooked me. It worked.
Right. And then after that, then we talk about the rest of it.
Right.
So that's how I approach every single one of my videos. It's storytelling, but like you have to, it's a little bit of clickbait.
Yeah.
Honestly. At least on social media. And then that's why I like a platform like Substack too, or like a written form, because you can then tell more of the story.
Expound on it, yeah.
So that's like my biggest tip. And also just to keep things short, like 15 seconds or less for my videos. And it depends on the content you're doing, but like that's just, the attention span nowadays is so bad. So that's that. And then I think you asked about there's more food.
is puri masala dosa. और restaurant favorite also. Okay, this is rice and lentil crepe, guldan fee, made with rice and lentil and stuffed with some curry potato and accompanied with the coconut sauce and lentil and vegetable stew and tomato sauce.
Wow.
Do we just cut it?
Yeah, cut into and dip with the sauce and
Okay.
you can enjoy it.
Thank you.
Enjoy.
That looks insane.
It's
I'm gonna
crazy.
get some edamame on here. Did you want more of this, or are you good?
Sure.
You stick into that.
Some protein.
That's a great one. I always like to say too, content is king. So going back to what you were saying about like, is this something that is of value? Will my audience like this?
Right.
Is this something they're going to want to save or share? I think should be the first thing that people are also asking
Yes.
themselves. And the tower hits on that because you're going to want to go back to the place that serves the sangria tower, whether it's for girls'
Nobody
night
else has
or
it, right.
right.
But we're in
That's
DC, there's a
smart.
million steakhouses
But how many of them have a sangria tower?
that look like that too.
That's true. The presentation of it all.
So that's my biggest piece of advice. And then I think you asked about like businesses reaching out. This is like so niche, but like my advice for businesses is to use the email that's in people's bio. In addition to DMing them, don't just rely on the DMs because if you're a bigger creator, like you get so many DMs all the time,
Then get drowned
that
out.
shit gets lost. It
Yep.
gets in the requested folder, which I look at maybe once a month. And I honestly take things way more seriously when they email me.
It's an email.
So that is my big piece of advice for like brands who are trying to work with creators.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. That was really all the questions that I had for us.
This was lovely.
This has been a wonderful conversation.
Thank
and
you
now
for-
I just feel
thank
like
you for
we
this.
just- thank you. I really appreciate it. You know,
fun.
as a smaller brand right now trying to grow, it really helps to have people like you that have, you know, an established platform to lend your trust and your brand umbrella over to me. And so thank you for being willing to have this conversation
course.
and for the bomb idea to come to Tapori because this food is incredible.
Yep.
And we're just gonna keep finishing up because there's too much goodness on this
the
plate
sound of that.
to to be left here.